Preparing to live stream the meeting. Okay, I guess we're not yet. Oh, live on YouTube. Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Hey,
Here we are.
YouTube,
Hello.
we made it.
That's right.
Jimmy Kimmel's on ABC. Fallon's on NBC. We're on fucking YouTube, baby.
That's right.
The People's Network.
That's right. None of that. Those fusty, gatekeepered, elite networks for us.
Yeah, you don't need to be paying for a cable subscription. Just jump on some free YouTube.
That's right. You can find us at Starbucks, which you shouldn't even be going to right now.
Why?
You know, COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, drive through all you want, but.
Yeah, JoJo just did a drive through this morning. She gets a 15-minute break between her classes, so she drove to a drive through Starbucks.
Good for her.
Good story, right?
It's a good story. So there's all sorts of stuff I want to talk to you about, Greg, but I think we should talk about it on the show.
Okay.
So let's turn on our recorders.
Could I look more pale? Is that possible?
Yeah, I think you could turn off more lights.
Oh, is that what's making me look pale?
I don't know. Do you have the light in front of you turned on? Your new fancy ring light?
Yeah, here's the problem. I have it behind my computer screen because look what it does to my glasses.
Right. My therapist. Yes.
Like that.
I saw the reflection of a ring light in my therapist's glasses. And honestly, I felt like, I get that she wants to look, people be able to see her, but at the same time, doesn't ring light and therapy, doesn't it seem like a therapist shouldn't care that much about her appearance?
Yes.
Like I do my therapy in this room and I don't turn all my fancy lights on for it.
Yeah.
I keep it real, but she also was like very much in shadow before. Okay.
Wait, let's talk about this on the podcast because I have something to say about that.
Okay. So is your
record? Yeah, yes. It's now recording.
Okay, so remember we're going to clap on 4. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
That was staggered for me. How was that for you?
Oh, good.
Okay. All right, let's get some music up in this.
Turn off your ringer. You're like a pro.
Turn off silent mode on. I recorded a whole episode with Tim Heidecker and I bopped around to my music because it was, recording the video. And then I realized afterwards that he wasn't hearing anything. Okay, here we go.
Childish, oh shit. Last time I checked, I was still a kid. Childish, childish. This all freaks me out a bit. Childish, oh shit. How can I parent when I'm still a kid? Childish, oh shit. Who the hell decided I was ready for this? Childish, oh shit. This is like a job that I cannot quit. Childish, oh shit. Maybe I should have gotten it fixed.
I do believe this is Greg Fitzsimmons.
Last I checked, this is Allison Rosen.
Our theme song, I'll put it up against anybody's.
It is so fizzy. When I was listening to it just now while dancing in my chair, I thought, man, it doesn't get fizzier than this.
Now, who did it again? We should give them a shout out.
Floyd Kellogg, who is my husband's cousin and an accomplished musician. Floyd Kellogg did the music. And an excellent
breakfast cereal maker.
Yes, he does it all. He truly multitasks. And then, oh my gosh, I'm blanking out on the name of the woman. It's Zoe something. She did the vocals, but then the lyrics were written by a father-daughter duo named Greg Fitzsimmons and JoJo Fitzsimmons.
That's correct. JoJo was instrumental in doing the non-instrumental part.
That's right. So really, it's a family affair plus Floyd and
That
Zoe.
sounds incestual.
To say it's a family affair?
A family affair.
I mean, if you're taking it literally. So really, it's a family enterprise.
Yes, let's say that.
Now, if you are watching us stream live on YouTube, youtube.com/Allison Rosen, or if you're watching this after the fact, you might notice how attractive Greg and I look. We've both separately at the same time decided to clean up our act. I have been cycling through the same few tops, and I decided I need more tops for my Zooms, and I'm wearing a floral top.
You look fantastic.
Thank
you really
you.
do. You look great.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't want to take attention away from you, though, wearing a shirt that's not a t-shirt. Look at that collar. Look at those birds.
Talk
me through.
Well, let me tell you something. I've been wearing nothing but t-shirts for 8 months on podcasts. And all of a sudden I'm like, what am I doing? I'm on YouTube, for God's sake. And so I'm starting to wear collared shirts. This one was given to me by the showrunner of Childish because it's a design by
showrunner. We have a showrunner? Do you mean Crashing?
No, on Crashing, we had a showrunner.
Oh, okay.
And this is designed by Paul McCartney's daughter.
Oh, Stella. That's a Stella McCartney?
Stella McCartney.
Oh my God.
Shirt. And we were looking at it online and we loved it. He bought it. He got so many compliments and then he bought it for me. And I've never gotten more compliments on a shirt in my life.
I think Stella McCartney's, that's like high fashion. Like I'm merely wearing a Republic of Banana top, Banana Republic. I think.
Well, it's a knockoff.
That really expensive?
It's from. Can you read it?
H&M. That's from H&M.
It's from H&M. It's a knockoff.
Well, I mean, they do excellent work.
They knock it right the fuck off.
What is that made of? What material is that?
It's a linen.
Wow.
Yeah. It requires a little more care, but it gives back.
Right. You get in what you put out with that shirt.
Yes.
Well, I think it's great. You look great.
That's a good way to start the show, Allison.
With how great we look?
Well, during a pandemic, I would say statistically people look worse. I mean, there are the fat people that start running, and that's always fun to watch when you're driving. Mm-hmm. You know, I always roll down the window when I scream, "Wendy's is that way."
You do not.
I don't.
But you want to, but you think it. You think about how funny it would be.
I do. I'm actually inspired by it. I love seeing overweight people running during a pandemic because this is the time. I mean, you have low stress. You know, they say that it comes from anxiety for a lot of people, and you don't have to work. You can be around your family and friends more, depending on how you know.
Did you say low stress? I feel like this is a real high stress time.
It's all in how you process it.
Yeah, I will grant you that, but it still feels like a fairly high anxiety time. For example, I just got a text from my sister saying that she thinks we should all hardcore quarantine until Thanksgiving, which, by the way, I feel like embarrassed even admitting that we were planning to see each other on Thanksgiving, because I actually feel like, given the way the numbers are, probably the most prudent thing and like the best example to set is to just stay in your house and like not, cancel your plans, don't go anywhere. But and then she started asking me questions about like all the different, who am I seeing and are you going to, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because I totally support being safe right now. I would feel fine interrogating someone else, but being on the receiving end of her interrogation made me feel, and it's not an interrogation, it's just an anxiety-fueled discussion, made me feel like, don't you trust me? I think we've talked about that before, the hypocrisy of COVID.
It is hard because you feel judged when somebody draws a line. You feel judged like you weren't being a good COVIDer. But the truth is, I live on the west side of LA. Nobody has COVID. I don't know a single person in Santa Monica, Venice, West LA, Culver City, Marina del Rey. I know people in all this, but nobody has gotten COVID because people are super safe. Mm-hmm. Stuff was shut down since like July, even before. No, I mean, I think we've been shut. I mean, it's terrible for business. I mean, I drove down Abercrombie and like, I would say 50% of the stores are out of business. There's lease signs up. It's fucking terrible.
I know. At the same time, I'm not one of those people who's like, we got to open up for the businesses. It's like, what good is a thriving business if the customers have perished. Huge news. And look, we're not a political podcast. People who have something negative to say claim sometimes we are, but we're really not. But, you know, there's been huge political news since we last talked.
There has. And like a lot of things with this election, it could go a number of different ways. I mean, you can look at best case scenarios where we just sort of flow past this temper tantrum that Trump is throwing and we just move forward. The worst case scenario is he doesn't allow Biden access to information that will help with the transition, including like international,
which is already happening a bit.
Yeah. And then, you know, and then he tries to get his Proud Boy faction to get out on the streets and do some fucked up shit.
Also happening a little bit in DC.
I know that there is no path for him to overturn the election at this point. And what's really pathetic is that the Republicans are not keep putting country first and saying, Mr. President, you need to transition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not me being a bleeding heart liberal. That's me being an American.
I agree with you. It's interesting, and we're going to move on shortly, but the first couple days of when the election results were coming out, I was feeling very depressed. I was feeling like, oh my God, I thought it was going to be this big statement about how much everyone is done with him. And then to discover that it's so many people, despite everything, still voted for him, I was shocked. But then now, more and more as the votes are tallied and whatnot, I do feel like it, even though there's still a lot of people clearly who supported him, Biden's numbers are unimpeachable. That's what I believe.
Unimpeachable. We're going to need that phrase for the next 4 years because they're going to try to launch one. Anyway, forget about politics. Let's talk about
some of the.
Well, we were talking about stress, and I am stressed because I am a stand-up comedian in a country that has closed 90% of the clubs, and the ones that are open are at 25 or 50% capacity, which translates to 25 to 50% of the wages you would normally make if you are working, which is rare. Writing jobs don't exist. Shows have tried to go back into production and now they dropped out again. Allison, I got no work.
Just Childish.
And 7 other podcasts.
That's right. How are you doing? How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling strong in the sense that I've been doing this for 30 years and it always seems to work out. Mm-hmm. So I just have to believe that, if I work hard and I stay focused and I kiss the right ass, that the next job will come along. And in the meantime, I try to get a shrink because I am having some anxiety. And I have called 15 shrinks. None of them have availability. It's a
busy time for them.
Everybody's talking to a therapist now. And you know what's crazy? One of them called me back. One of them.
Only one?
And I feel like calling the other 14 and screaming in their voicemails, hey, I could be fucking suicidal right now, you fucking money grubbing piece of shit.
I will bring that up. I'll bring that up in your first session when you finally get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, wait, how long has it been since you've called them? These money grubbing.
A week and a half.
Oh, really? They should have called back by now.
You call back, you give a referral.
Yeah. Well, I hope you find one. I don't want to cross streams with promotion, but BetterHelp is an online therapist community and they're a sponsor on my show. You might check them out.
BetterHelp.
Yeah, betterhelp.com/.
Yeah, because right now it's not like I even need one in Venice Beach. They could be in Minnesota.
Right. So I was saying to you before we started, although the YouTube people might have heard a bit of this, I saw the reflection of a ring light in my therapist's glasses.
Oh, you told me.
Yes. And
which it looks like this, by the way. I have a ring light. I keep it behind my computer because when I put it directly in my eye line, look at my glasses.
Yeah. It looks like you're like heading into a tunnel, a
Yeah.
Tron tunnel or something.
Yeah.
And it was very noticeable to me. And not just because it was on her face, but just because I was like, oh, you've joined the rest of us and you have a ring light now.
Right.
It's weird. It's weird, the stuff that we project onto our therapists. Greg, can I tell you about my super weird Hollywood dream that was actually a good dream?
Yeah.
I think you will get a kick out of this. In my dream, I had the opportunity to submit a writing packet for a movie, to be hired as like a punch-up person for the movie script. And there were two options. I could either submit it blind, where my name would not be attached to it, or I could submit it with my name. And if I was hired for the blind submission, if I was hired, I would receive $4 million. And if I was hired off of the one with my name, I would be paid $18 million.
Whoa.
It was like, oh my God, I found like the hidden, like finding a hidden room, or like what's the word for what I've found?
A chamber.
The magic bullet. I figured out how it works in this town. And then in my dream, I started thinking of all the people. I'm trying to think if I thought of you in my dream. Probably all the people I know who work, as professional movie and TV writers. And I was like, oh my God, think of like the millions of dollars they have. But it was almost like a game show, because in the dream, it was like the reason you would submit it blind and only get 4 million versus 18 million is that then if they don't like your submission, they won't, like if they dislike your submission and they're like, oh, Allison Rosen sent in this turd, then you won't be allowed to submit again.
Well,
but
also, I think in this day and age, it would be to your advantage to submit with a female name, because they are not hiring men as much as they had in the past. So if it's a name like LaQuisha or
careful.
I know, I'm just saying, right now is a great time in Hollywood. They're celebrating diversity. They're looking for different types of people. They're breaking up the status quo. It's very encouraging, and it's what needs to be happening. Is it good for me and my bottom line? Obviously not. But you know what? I had it good for a long time. Straight white men had it good from forever until about 2 years ago. So luckily I saved some money. I bought a house. I'm going to get through it.
I mean, look, if you
and
were
I'm going to celebrate the change as that happens.
If you were making between 4 million and 18 million off of each job, I feel like you're set.
Yes.
Because I was like, I can just get a couple of these jobs, as if 4 million itself wouldn't be enough. Yeah. And then I'll be set for life.
Right.
It's weird how much of a good, and it's weird. Like I don't normally dream about money despite being a Jew, but it was like just a really good dream.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was about. Maybe it was because I've been thinking about writing some stuff. And I've been sort of excited about turning my attention to writing. So
if you got $18 million, what would you do with it?
Well, I thought about that in this dream. I would buy a new house. That would be one of the first things. Probably still I might stay in Burbank. Like I like Burbank a lot. Assuming that we don't just decide to leave. I would like to live in New York again. I would like to live in Brooklyn. Daniel has no interest in that. I also would like to live in Canada, but I don't know how one goes about that. Maybe with my 18 million, I could find a way.
But what else would you do with it?
I mean, obviously donate a chunk and save people and help people.
Nicely done.
Yeah. Oh, I'd give you a bunch.
Would you really?
If you need it.
I've got 18 million. What are you talking about? Do I need it?
Oh, from which one job did you get 18 million?
The Andy Dick Project for Comedy Central.
Can I ask you, you don't have to answer this, but I'm going to ask you a nosy question. Which of all your many Hollywood jobs paid the best? Like, which did you make the most? Which was your payday? The payday. That's the word I was looking for in my dream. Like I found the payday.
Childish was good because I was a producer on the show.
Crashing?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Crashing. Wait, what's Childish?
That's this.
And then Ellen DeGeneres I made a lot because I was a writer and a producer, and also they asked me to do the audience warm-up, which is literally on its own a really good living. So I was making 2 big checks every week. And then I got residuals because the show reran every single night on Oxygen. So we got repaid our salaries. And then when we took vacations from the show, I made double the money on vacation because I still got my salary. Plus they reran the shows on NBC that week. And then reran it on Oxygen. So I would they have green envelopes that come from the Writers Guild. Those mean residual checks. So you get repaid all over again. It's crazy.
Wow.
So I stayed there longer than I probably would have because the money was good.
That sounds amazing. Listen, we like our listeners. We love our listeners. You guys are the best. We love when you interact with us, we love when you get in touch with us, and we especially love when you leave us nice comments on Apple Podcasts. I'm going to read a couple. Greg hates this. It makes him blush, but here we go. And I'm going to put us side by side so they can watch you squirm and be uncomfortable. This one comes, and by the way, they're not all positive, and I'm going to read a negative too, but this one comes from TBOSJ. Please go back to podcast every week. Please go back to a podcast every week. Go listen and catch up, everyone. You won't be disappointed. Greg and Allison have great chemistry, and this podcast is proof. I just wish they would go back to a new episode every week. Peace. Rate, subscribe, review, thumbs up. Yes. So for anyone who's like, well, how infrequent is this? We're every other week.
Yeah, we may go back. We may go back.
We always might go back.
It's hard during a pandemic.
It's true. Greg and I are busy jogging.
Yeah, we're jogging a lot and trying to get therapists. It's very time consuming.
Listen, not everyone feels so positively about us.
Oh, here we go.
Trash show by trash people. 1 star. And that's from Duck Hunter 44.
Duck Hunter is a hunter. He's a member of the NRA, and he does not agree with our politics. He doesn't dislike the content of the show. He dislikes the point of view of the show.
That's probably true. I find for the most part, the negativity is from people who are angry about something political that we
that we started the show with a completely extraneous conversation about politics on a show about parenting. What are we doing, Allison?
I don't know, but so I read a news story.
Oh, good.
That made my head explode. So let's talk about that. And I know you have a couple news stories as well. And we have a little song.
Time for the news.
Having a snack?
I'm having some cashews while you read this story.
Okay. So in Utah, just careful. I'm just going to put it on me. So, and just in case you crunch, even though that's just so people don't have to see, even though I'm into watching the cashew butter being churned in your mouth. A fresh cashew butter. Okay. So anyway, in Utah, moms there are refusing to test their children for COVID when they have symptoms because they are trying to artificially keep the numbers down so that the schools will stay open. This is referred to as the mom code. And there was a quote from a mother that was, testing your children, your symptomatic children, is selfish. Because, people will get wind of the numbers and then shut everything down. And this just makes me want to yell at them. Selfish? Selfish? You're the selfish one, you bitch! Excuse me. It's like saying, I don't want to find out if I have any STDs because if I do, then I don't get to have sex. Or maybe it's not like that, but basically it's like.
No, that's good. I like that.
Thank you.
I like that.
Greg buys into my analogy. There's a reason shutdowns happen based on community numbers. And I get that maybe you don't agree with the math that they're doing, but we're also in unprecedented times. And I don't know. At the same time, and I don't mean to undermine myself, I read all of this, and this also has like the whiff of, could it be an urban legend? Like, is this real? it sounds like an urban legend. I think it's real, but it also feels like, no,
What,
it's
the
true.
mothers group?
It feels like something that gets passed around because it's so unbelievably incendiary.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be like, oh, it really was like two people talking about it.
That's the problem with our society today is, stories are like, it started with the Proud Boys. There was a dozen jackos that decided to, and it started with that guy who created what's that crazy show on HBO? It's based on a magazine website. They do hardcore news.
Vice.
Yeah, the
Oh,
guy that created
Gavin.
Vice.
Oh, that guy's a sociopath.
He started the
Gavin McInnes. Yeah,
he started the
Proud Boys.
group, and it was, it was 100 assholes that followed another asshole, and then the news started reporting it nonstop because it's clickbait, and all of a sudden you attract other wing nuts from around the country, and now it's a fucking movement.
Yes.
It's like the media from this point forward needs to start, having some fucking standards about what they put out in the public eye and promote as something that's more than just an aberration, just a small group.
Right, I know. And actually, in terms of how incendiary this idea is, mothers say it's selfish to test your children, to do the responsible thing so they aren't, and then like us talking about it with our 600,000 listeners, someone could hear it and then be like, oh, I hadn't thought of it. That's a good idea.
Right.
So
I don't
really,
know.
we shouldn't mention it.
Yeah, but if
still.
you look, schools are closing in New York. They're going to close in a bunch of places. And it's really hard on people. And I especially feel for the people that live in crowded apartments and they don't have good Wi-Fi. There's a lot of, and not to mention the socialization. We have a story. Why don't we just go into this next story?
All right.
It says some young children have forgotten how to eat with a knife and fork, and others have regressed back into diapers as the coronavirus pandemic and school closures take a toll on young people's learning.
Yes.
They published 5 reports based on findings from more than 900 visits to education and social care providers since September. Some of the children most affected by the disruption of the pandemic were those in their earliest years of education with working parents who experienced a double whammy of less time with parents and less time with other children. She said teachers reported some toilet-trained students needing to use diapers again and others who had forgotten some basic skills as they mastered, such as eating with a knife and fork. Not to mention the loss of early progress in words and numbers.
So some of that has been happening in our house. Daniel is back in diapers. No, Elliot had started toilet training and he completely backslid, and now he's back in diapers, and he never was fully out of diapers, but he was interested in using the potty and we were sort of on our way, and then he just decided he wasn't ready. And then this morning it's funny, he came into the bathroom while I was getting ready. And he touched the toilet lid and he said, I want to see you use this. And I was like, oh, that's good. Like it's good that he wants to watch how I do it. And then I said, okay, now. And he said, well, I'm eating chips. Chips, but chips is how he says it. I'm eating chips right now. And I said, okay, do you want to go have some chips and then come back? He's like, yeah, I'll go have some chips and then I'll come back. And then he came back and watched me use the toilet. And I said, when
you say use the toilet, did you actually perform or did you just sit?
Are you asking me if I grew a tail?
No, did you drop a deuce?
Snapped a loaf.
Grew a tail? Is that a word for it?
Yeah.
Is that a phrase?
I just peed.
You just peed? Yeah,
because I find having had 2 children, I can always create a tiny bit of pee. Mm-hmm. There's always a little bit in there.
Right.
I peed and then, and then I said, you could do this too. And he said, I'm not ready yet. Maybe after Christmas or after Christmas.
But he had been using it before.
Yes, but not regularly and he was using it before. He was wearing underwear and he was using the potty and he was having some accidents, but he wanted to use it.
Right.
But the accidents made me wonder if maybe he's not yet physically there yet, like not yet physically aware of when he has the feeling that he needs to go. So yeah, now he just keeps, he's just, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. And then also he still has his pacifier, and he was leaving it in his bed during the day, and it was really easy for him to do that. And he was really good about it. And I was like, oh, I should have done this sooner. There was no drama around it. And now he's back to like that. He totally backslid with that one. And I kind of blame myself for allowing that to happen. That being said, we just had a dentist appointment, and I said there's been some backsliding, and she said that's happening to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's hard on parents because in a regular time you would really try to encourage them and push them forward. But I think a lot of people's thinking during these times is just let them be where they are. They're experiencing enough stress and trauma.
Right.
And if he's communicating with you very honestly about, I've got a timetable, I'm thinking around Chris, God bless him. That's very healthy.
I was surprised that he has a sense of when Christmas is, even.
Especially as a half Jew. Wait, is Daniel Jewish?
No.
Yeah.
So half, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Daniel's cousin did Ancestry or 23andMe or one of those. And it turns out that I think he's like 1/16th or 1/32nd or some fractional amount of Jew.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, no. Elliot is half.
He's
so
a touch of Jew.
Just a smidge, just a dash.
One other story we had in the news. As if having food allergies isn't hard enough on a child, new research shows that almost 1 in 5 of these kids are bullied. Bullying doesn't stop at the schoolyard. A similar percentage of parents said they've been teased about their concern for their child's food allergies. The parents are being mocked.
Oh.
I think it's an underrated problem because a lot of kids don't report being bullied. I think bullying is something that allergists should start screening kids for, says Danielle Brown, a medical student at Loyola. And then food is part of everything we do. It's often hard for kids to understand that food can be life-threatening, Gupta said. How many fucking doctors from India are named Gupta?
Wait, this is not Sanjay Gupta. This is a different Gupta.
It's Ruchi Gupta. He's the director of Center for Food Allergy and Asthma Research at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine in Chicago.
He must hate Sanjay Gupta because everyone must be so disappointed when they find out that he's talking about health, but he's not Sanjay.
I had a roommate in college. He was placed with me. I didn't know who he was. We had like a suite. So one of the bedrooms got filled by this guy, and his last name was Gupta. And he was from India, and we had a ferret, and he was fucking petrified of the ferret, and he wouldn't come into the living room. So we had to get rid of the ferret.
Wow, you put this guy ahead of the ferret? That's
of course.
Where I never knew you. I mean, so many questions. I never knew you had a ferret. What was the ferret's name? What was the ferret's temperament? And where did it go when you got rid of it?
Well, my roommate freshman year, which happens, you hear a lot of these stories where like I'm paired up with a guy randomly freshman year. I don't have a ton in common with the guy. And who do I choose to live with sophomore year? This fucking guy. It just goes to show how you socialize at a certain age in your life, how open you are.
Yes.
To, making bonds and relationships with people.
Right.
So he had a ferret and he hid it freshman year in the dorm room. And we used to get it drunk. I'm not proud of that. And drunk ferrets are super lovable. They just want to curl and roll, and he wasn't like that unless he was drunk. And but we didn't let him drive. And then he had to send it home because of the guy's name was Kalyan Gupta.
What was the ferret's name? Kalyan?
We named him Kalyan also.
No, do you remember the ferret's name?
Kellyanne Conway.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you get the ferret drunk?
Put little beer in his bowl, and he loved it. Lapped it up.
Wow.
We may have blown pot smoke in his face also. This is not going to go over well with a lot of listeners. But remember, we were freshmen in college, and we were idiots.
Also, it sounds like you were just a party to it. You didn't actually do it.
I might have been a part of it more than a party to it.
Okay, well then.
Shame on me.
Yeah, my brothers talked about getting a pig drunk. They lived with us for part of the time and they lived with their mom in Vermont. And I think she must have had farm animals. And they talked about getting a pig drunk and how funny it was. I've never gotten any of my animals drunk. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Well, animals get drunk in nature. They eat fermented apples that have been sitting out in the sun. Horses get drunk. Cows get drunk. Pigs get drunk. It's a party. The farm is a party. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O!
It works with you in that H&M Stella McCartney shirt. This all works.
Yes.
This
you
all
want
works.
A party? Forget the frat house. Go to Old MacDonald's house. That's where
farm.
shit's going down.
Did you, speaking of farm stuff, which by the way, this is not that far afield, no pun for us, because we did talk about chicken sex for a long time. And we have listeners who are like, we almost had a t-shirt with amorous chickens on it. Did you see Bert Kreischer, friend of the show, Bert Kreischer, posted, "Is cow tipping real?" And I had never thought about it, but it seems like actually maybe it's not real, which I'm happy about because it seems really cruel.
I've heard that it's real. I had a friend named Eric Moore. We called him the Hick. He grew up in Ohio on a farm, and he told me that they used to go cow tip. And he was a big dude, so he was capable. I think 2 or 3 guys have to do it at the same time.
I used to love the movie Heathers. I probably still love it. I just haven't seen it in years. And there's a cow tipping scene in that movie.
Yeah. Well, I would guess then that that's true because that's Heathers.
Documentary.
Is Heathers the one where they all kill themselves?
Well, spoiler alert, yes. Yeah, it's weird. It's a dark comedy. It's presented as a dark comedy. I don't think I watched it when I was young and I really liked it. It's very stylized and I really liked the feel and the tone of it and I thought it was funny. I don't think it really sunk in that it was like kind of about suicide catching on among high schoolers.
Yeah.
Listen, what?
I need some money. That's my cue for you to read an ad. Is that what you were about to do anyway?
Yes, but it's not about needing money. It's about giving an excellent gift to your relatives. It's about StoryWorth.
I love StoryWorth.
StoryWorth, it's the best.
They give us a free subscription. I've been doing it for like 6 months. I love it.
It is the best. I gave it to my dad. It's what it is you buy a subscription for someone you love. You could even buy it for yourself if you want to collect your own stories. And then this person receives a story prompt every week. And there's a big list that you choose from. You can add your own, but it's stuff to prompt stories from your past. It could be your
first job and little things to get you right. It's stuff that one day your kids will read. Just picture you die and they pull out your high school yearbook and they pull out your storybook and they get to read. All you want when you're a kid is to immerse yourself in your parents' life.
I used to love looking at my parent. My dad threw out a lot of his yearbooks because he decided he was going to like make a break from the past when he was in his 20s. And I always hated that because I wanted so bad to look at his yearbooks, whereas I have my mom's yearbooks. But anyway, we gave StoryWorth to my dad, who I feel like I know all of his stories, but I learned stuff about like his experience learning how to drive, his odd jobs as a kid, all that kind of stuff. His relationship with his grandparents and great-grandparents. It was great.
Plus the affairs. I mean, the affairs, like, especially when you had no idea they were happening.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
He had kept it secret for so long and he wrote so beautifully about it. Anyway, at the end of a year, all these stories are collected by StoryWorth and put into a hardbound book of memories. It's such a brilliant idea. And so many people who have heard the show have gone out and given it to their relatives and they get in touch and they say how much everyone loves it. Everyone loves it. Give your loved ones Pete, fix that. Give your loved ones the gift of spending time together wherever you live with StoryWorth. Get started right away with no shipping required by going to storyworth.com/childish. You'll get $10 off your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/childish, storyworth.com/childish for $10 off.
Highly recommend it. Check it out, people.
It is great. Greg,
Yeah.
should we do highs and lows?
Let's do highs and lows.
Let's do it. Hang on, because there's a thing we play.
Lows.
You start.
My high is, look, my daughter is working really hard in school. And then Monday through Friday, she finishes her classes around 1:30. She gets in the car. She drives to a preschool where she's a teacher, not a teacher,
An aid?
preschool aide. And she works for like 4 hours with little babies and kids, which she fucking loves. Comes home every day with little, I don't think she's supposed to take videos of the kids, but she does, of the ones that are really special to her. And she shows up and the kids all scream, Jojo, Jojo, and they all want to, and she loves it. And so my point being, she doesn't do a lot else because it's a long day. And so we watch a lot of TV at night. She's and we discovered the Eric Andre show, and we sit on that couch, and I'm telling you, it's as funny as Borat. It's as funny as Sacha Baron Cohen. It is so over the top, ridiculous, in your face. It's like punk rock in a TV show.
Wow.
It's amazing. And we just double it. We have to pause it. We're wiping tears from our face. And there's like, I think like 6 seasons, and we're in the 4th now. And so every night we just binge on that, and we're just having so much fun. And I know Eric just from the comedy clubs. He comes around, nicest guy in the world, totally normal dude. But when he does this show, he will get naked in Times Square. He'll like take a dump in a can in a hardware. He does anything. And he's very free, and it's like there's no victims to it.
So it's not mean-spirited.
No, he has celebrity guests come on, and then he does insane things while they're sitting there. But it's never like mean to them. It's just more of like, look at Howie Mandel try to handle this, like a guy who's always in control, and suddenly he is not in control at all. There's like, like Eric goes, they bring out 3 women with suitcases. They're 3 models with like numbers on suitcases. And he goes, all right, Howie, pick one of them, 1, 2, or 3. And they're numbered. And he says, number 2. And then this guy comes out with a rifle and shoots number 2, and blood packets explode and she falls down limp on the ground. It's like, and how do you react to that?
Yeah.
But like then Eric jumps on the desk and it collapses, and a little person runs out dressed as Howie and tries to sit on his lap. It's nonstop. It's so great.
I need to check it out.
It's on Hulu.
All right. Yeah, I know who Eric Andre is, and I have like a sense of how sort of crazy he is, but I've never actually seen the show.
Right.
My high also involves uproarious laughter, but in a more simple way. So I have been playing this game with Owen, and then Elliot joins in, where we take these stacking cups, which I believe was a shout out item from back when we used to do shout outs. And it's been so long since I've heard you do shout out. Could you do it just for old time's sake?
Shout out!
I just love it. So these stacking cups, which are a great gift for kids because they love playing, they can stack them, they can, blah, blah. Anyway. And I pretend to drink out of one, and either yummy or yucky. Now, when I do,
you spit the liquid?
There's no liquid in it. It's pretend. But I do go, and I go yucky. And Owen thinks it is the funniest thing. He like can barely breathe. He's tight little guy. He can barely breathe. He's laughing so hard. He's like bent over, like he thinks it's so funny. And then he'll now go get the cups, and he picks it up and like goes, spits into it to try to, sorry, I just spit into the mic, to try to get me to do it. It's really a droplet fiesta. So only do this game with people.
Yeah.
I would recommend under 2 who live in your home. But it's just fun to see him enjoy something so much.
I love it. You should make a TikTok video.
I should. By the way, I got a video. It's not TikTok, but I got a video of I told you that Elliot, after I put Owen to bed, Elliot he calls it pop and say goodnight. Pop it. It came from pop in and say goodnight. So he wants to pop and say goodnight. So he goes into Owen's room. He goes, good night. And then he stands there and he pops, which is jump in the air. And then he backs out. I got a video of it. It's very cute.
Hilarious. That's a good one. Yeah, a lot of people are going to be doing that with their kids.
What's your low?
My low is last night at about 4 a.m. And I'd had a big ass street burrito at night. Pork about this big. It weighed like 5 pounds. And I smothered it in hot sauce. And I ate, you know, with those burritos, when they're that big, you really should eat about half, tops.
Yeah.
They're
That's multiple meals.
I ate the whole fucking thing with hot sauce. And at 4 a.m.
That is such skinny person privilege.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I threw up in my mouth at 4 a.m.
Oh.
And I caught it, so it didn't, but then I swallowed it. And the acid was burning, and I inhaled it. And I inhaled, so it was in my windpipe as well.
Oh, God, Greg.
So I had to get out of bed at 4 a.m. And I spent a good 40 minutes in the bathroom, coughing it out, rinsing it out,
Ouch.
wheezing it out. It was terrible. And then I brushed my teeth. I got back into bed, threw a move on the wife, got shot down, went back to sleep.
When did you eat it in relation to when you went to bed?
7:30, not that late.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant.
But by the way, that happens every time I eat like red sauce, chili, food like that. I generally do vomit a little bit in my mouth that night.
And it doesn't make you want to stop eating those things?
I forget until I throw up. Usually it's only a tiny bit. This was like a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are things you can do. Like have you ever taken like heartburn medication or anything like that?
Well, that's what I did after I threw up. I took some of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was very pregnant, bending over and like all of a sudden barf was just stomach acid was coming up and it like hurt for 2 days.
Yeah, it's bad, especially when you inhale it down your windpipe.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy when you think about how strong that acid is. It's breaking down tissue. So it's going to break down your own tissue.
Yep.
Gross.
That's why anorexics end up with their voices get fucked up, their vocal cords.
Bulimics.
Their teeth. That's why their teeth look so rotten.
Yeah.
Not anorexics. I'm sorry.
Bulimics. Yeah. But I had mentioned that happened to me though. And people wrote in with like all sorts, like drinking diluted aloe juice is supposed to be soothing. I ended up not doing any of that, but,
what's your low, Allison?
My low. Okay. I'm trying to figure out if I should do the kid-centric one or the existential one.
Do the kid-centric one.
Okay.
It's childish.
You're right. It's not Allison-ish. So sitting on the couch, Owen was in my lap and something angered him. So he's a very strong little kid, like physically strong. More reason I think that the fertility clinic messed up the eggs and he's not really mine. He threw his head back into my face and it basically headbutted me. If anyone's getting deja vu, it is because Elliot had done this to me when he was younger too. Elliot reared back into my nose. This was just my lips, but like from my nose down. Daniel saw it and was like, oh my God, because it made a big sound. And I just sat there touching my tooth. Like, am I going to lose this tooth? I didn't. And I amazingly didn't even cut my lip on my tooth because my lip went into my tooth. It just happened to be the angle of how he hit me. Cause if he had come up, then it would have cut my lip, but it just, it hurt a lot. He seemed fine, but I don't like, when someone whacks you out of nowhere, you feel very angry at them. Yeah. And I don't like that complicated feeling of like, oh, you little shit. And I love you, sweetheart. I don't like that complication.
Yes. Yes. I remember I was in 4th grade and this kid, Cameron Levy, he bent over the water fountain, and it's got that little cover on it, the metal
Yeah.
backing. And as he was sipping, I slammed his head down and I knocked out 6 of his teeth.
Oh my God,
Split
Greg.
his lip. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
But isn't that like your worst fantasy that would happen when you were in school with the water fountain?
I don't think that I had that fear of the water fountain, but this was like a combination fear fantasy that somehow I would get knocked out and my nose would be broken and I would need to get it reset. But while I'm in there getting it reset, they may as well do a nose job, like set it how I want. And so I would be worried that I would be unconscious and they would do it while I was unconscious before I had a chance to tell them, here's how I want my nose.
Oh, did you want a nose job? Your nose is fine. What's wrong with your nose?
This honker?
Let me see. Give me a
This
profile.
Okay, but I will give you a profile, but I have to say it's a little distorted because of my angle to the camera. So it's going to look bigger than it actually is.
Okay. I love your nose.
Thank you.
I think it's who you are. It's like,
well, that's why I've never done any. Even now, I'm like, this would be a good time to fix my nose because, we're just home. Like that's how much I still think about it. But I also feel like if I was going to do it, I should have done it ages ago. I'm not really going to do it. I'm afraid to do it. I'm afraid I wouldn't look like myself. But yeah, I still think like I should have gotten my nose fixed.
All right, but listen to me. You, first of all, you're married. Your man loves you. That's not going anywhere. You don't need to attract any new bees to the comb. And then you're a comedian. I hate to break it to you. You're not getting any modeling jobs at this age. That ship has sailed. What you're going to get is you're a comedian, a podcaster, a personality. You want things that make you a little bit different. You want things that give you character.
Thank you.
Why do you think I shave my head and pretend I'm bald?
I know, when the truth is you have like really thick, lustrous hair.
When the truth is found to be lies,
and all the joy
within you dies.
Don't you want
some hair on your head?
Love? Don't you want your nose to be perky?
Perky.
Don't you want a cute little nose? Everyone will think you're cute and bubbly. Your nose, it is so big. When I look at you, all I see is your nose. Don't you want rhinoplasty? Don't you want
under your nose to get some shade from the sun? Your nose enters the room before you.
Once again, referencing a song that all the young people are singing.
My daughter loves all that music, though. She loves Jefferson Airplane. She put fucking Bad Company on the other day. Like even the really old school classic rock. She loves all of it.
Good
By the
for
way,
her.
who was more of a badass than
Grace Slick?
Grace Slick. She was such a badass. I mean, White Rabbit is like a 2-minute and 15-second song that from the beginning until the end just ramps up. It just builds and builds and builds and explodes and it ends. It's the fucking most awesome rock song.
I love it. For all the young people listening who are like, what are you talking about? We're talking about Jefferson Airplane. The album is Surrealistic Pillow. Surrealistic Pillow. I felt like there was an extra syllable. And that song that Greg and I just sang was a faithful rendition of one of their songs, just word for word. Go listen to it. You will like it. While we're recommending albums, so I mentioned that I had Tim Heidecker on my show. He has an album called
from Tim and Eric.
Yes. And Moonbase 8 on Showtime. He has an album called Fear of Death, which is not, you'd think it'd be like a absurdist comedy album. It's like, since it's pretty straight ahead, sincere music. It's so good. I've been listening to it nonstop.
Really?
Yeah. I recommend it. You might like it. It goes with your shirt. It's a little like country tinge, sort of folk rocky stuff.
Yeah.
You would like it. Should we take an email?
Let's take one.
Okay, hang on.
You wrote.
By the way, if you would like to write to us, childishpod@gmail.com. If you want to call us, we do voicemails. 805-317-4243. If that went by too fast, rewind or go to our website, childishpod.com, where you can find all our contact info and stuff.
This one comes from Owen in Canada.
Owen.
Hi, Fitz and Rosenberry. Love the podcast. I'm an artist, and I always listen to you guys while I'm working on a project.
Love it.
Were you guys being serious about auditioning for Childish, or was that just a bit? I assumed it was more of an organic process to start a podcast, but you guys have such dry humor, I wasn't sure. The highlight of my Wednesday is always listening to you two, so I hope you can start uploading weekly before there's a vaccine. Well, I guess if you're Canadian, stuff gets lost in translation because they're such nice, non-sarcastic people that don't lie a lot. And then you get two fucking New Yorkers. Well, you're not a New Yorker originally, but you lived in New York and you picked up the attitude and you kind of stuck with it.
That's why I went there, because I already had the attitude, I think.
Yeah. So no, Owen, we in fact fell in love with each other through the Adam Carolla show, and we did each other's podcasts a dozen times each. And we realized that there was, like with the Brady Bunch, and we realized it was much more than a family. And that's how we became the Childish Bunch.
That's right. Truth be told, I was like, Greg, we got to do a podcast together. We got to do a podcast together for a while. And he was like, yes, but for a while, let's just go on each other's podcasts. I think he was giving me, it was like a probationary period. I don't know. But now here we are with this blended family of a podcast.
And we will be doing it forever. I look forward to doing it every other week. I love hanging out with you, and I love that you guys dig it. So we're not going anywhere, and we may go back to once a week. Who knows?
Anything can happen during the quarantine. Anything. Right.
Yeah.
Now, as for that happening before the vaccine, seems like they're moving ahead at like a decent clip with the vaccine, right?
Pfizer has one that's 96.5% effective all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Or Pharma, one of them.
One of them. But yeah, I don't really know the timeline between where they are now and when it'll be in our bodies.
Yeah.
If you're open to it.
I think we're talking about January at this point.
Really?
That's off the top of my head, but I heard that there was a 3-month window, maybe February. It depends. I think that, they go out to like 30,000 people and they give them, that's like stage 3 of the test. And I think that they've begun stage 3 of the test. And so that takes 3 months, and then we'll start after that.
Can we go out on something unrelated, but I have to share? Greg, I have become obsessed with Nexium, with The Vow, with Seduced, with the podcast. I'm not a true crime person, and yet I can't get enough of Keith Raniere and his twisted world.
Keith Raniere is not a handsome guy.
No.
He's not a particularly well-spoken guy. He's short. He's not even good at volleyball. And yet he's able to arouse all these people. But here's the thing about it, Allison.
Yeah.
Is what really happened. What really happened? You go to the inner city and you go to a bad neighborhood. People are shot, killed. There's almost no investigation. Life moves on like it means nothing. What really happened with Nexium? Some women got some fucking brandishing done. Nobody died. I guess there was some
sex trafficking.
There was some sex trafficking.
Financial bullshit. Wait, are you coming out and you're I'm
not defending it. I'm just saying that it's a very white thing.
I didn't even think about that. You're right. I didn't even think about oh, boo-hoo, poor white women.
Yeah.
Still though, I mean, I get that. I get what you're saying. In general, I think true crime is often like oh, boo-hoo, poor upper crust.
Oh, those are always the kids
Yeah.
that stay in the news, you know?
It's weird how I really, really never, true crime does not attract me. And yet I watched one episode of The Vow, wasn't into it. Then I watched Seduced on Stars, which is India Oxenberg's story, Catherine Oxenberg from Dynasty's Daughter. 4 episodes of that. And then I went back to The Vow. Like I am so into The Vow that despite what you and so many people have said about like it should have been 4 episodes, but they turned it into 9, I was like really digging all 9 episodes. And now I'm listening to the podcast. And
I hear, is it true you're going to get the brand?
I'm going to get the brand.
The Keith brand on your pelvis?
I'm going to get, it's Keith's initials, and it's also Allison Mack from Smallville's initials. But I'm going to tell the person who's doing it that it's like the elements. It's a mountain, it's a stream, but it's also all their initials. I'm going to get it close to my pubic bone. It's the characters that the real people that you Sarah, Nippy, there's a guy named Nippy.
You know, they're making this documentary themselves, so they make themselves look more noble. That guy, the main guy,
Mark Vicente,
douchebag. He got hundreds of people to give up their lives for this cult and to give up their money and to, work 18 hours a day for this. He did it. He can't all of a sudden step back and go, oh, now I'm saving some people.
He feels remorse though, I think.
Yeah, well, whatever.
I will say that, they keep trying to make the point that anyone can get sucked into a cult. Like, we think of it as these sort of desperate, sad people, but really they go after like successful, powerful people, and anyone could be sucked in. Someone telling me you have to do anything in the middle of the night and I would be out. I'm like way too lazy for a cult.
I was approached twice to be in a cult.
What?
Yeah.
And you had a ferret? Greg, who are you?
It was a ferret cult, actually.
Oh my God. It makes sense now.
I mean, it's a gaggle of geese. It's a herd of cow.
A cult of ferret.
It's a cult of ferrets. I was in London. It was the year after high school. I was traveling around Europe for like 6 months with a backpack. And I walked by the Dianetics store. I'd never heard of Dianetics. And this guy's out front, nice young guy, and he's with a girl. And they're talking to me about this self-help thing. And I was at that age where I was starting to self-explore a little bit and try to improve myself. And they're like, why don't you come in and we'll give you lunch. And so I give free lunch. And then they asked me if I want to take this self-evaluation quiz to see about my emotional fitness. And so I take it and I feel pretty good about it. And then they sit down and go through the results with me. And it turns out, Allison, I have a lot of what they called aberrations.
Oh, that's like disintegrations in Nexium speak, which I don't speak. I just know it.
So they wanted me to help. They wanted to help me work out my aberrations. So they gave me a book for $18. And I bought the book and I read it. And the book is fucking great. I mean, it's basically Dianetics is a distillation of all Western kind of psychology. Mm-hmm. It's real simple ideas. And I didn't read the whole thing, so I don't know that I got into the spaceship stuff. But I went back there and then I realized very quickly it was a cult.
How did you realize?
Because there was a glaze over the eyes of people and everybody had the same kind of like cadence and energy. And I just immediately knew, I didn't know much about cults, but I was like, this is fucked up. This is like a weird church or something. And I stopped. Mm-hmm. And then another time in college, I found a wallet on the street with some cash in it. And I called the guy. I looked him up, back in college when everybody's number was available through the student directory. Called him, came to my dorm room. I gave him the wallet with the cash in it. And then the guy would not stop calling me. I went to one meeting. It was a Bible meeting. And I was like, all right, I'm Catholic. I'll go check out. I was a lapsed Catholic, but I was like, all right, I'm up for it. I'll check out this church meeting. And it was a fucking all male. They were like beating a drum. They were doing chants. There was hugging. People were crying. It was like fucking crazy.
Oh.
So after 7 meetings, I was like, wait a minute.
7 meetings, $15,000. Then you said, wait a minute.
Yeah. You
So
never
you
got
just-
approached for a cult?
I don't think so. However, my therapist in New York, who was a great therapist, I love her. If she were here, I love my therapist here too. But, I went to her for years. She practiced something called core energetics.
Oh,
Which is
yeah.
Wait, do you know of it?
Are there crystals involved?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm thinking of something else.
Are you thinking of Spencer Pratt's Pratt Daddy line of crystals?
Ah,
He sells crystals. He called Pratt anyway. And it is it's like Jungian and based on some different therapists. And this guy married this woman, and she supposedly channeled the Pathwork lectures, which like already I'm like, I don't think so. But there's this book that they use called the Pathwork lectures. And these lectures are actually, maybe it's similar to Diane. It's like, they're actually sound psychologically, and there's nothing crazy in them. The crazy thing is that supposedly she channeled this from some life force or whatever. So my therapist and I like did pretty normal talking therapy. However, in every room, there was this like foam mattress thing covered with a blanket and like an old wooden tennis racket. And one of the things that these people who practice this would do is like you'd beat on this with a tennis racket and like bring out your anger. And it always made me uncomfortable whenever I would overhear people doing it. I never wanted to do it. I just wanted to have regular therapy. But there was something about the like institute where she would rent a room, and everyone would always like, there was just a weird vibe in there, and people would come out of rooms and they'd be like, there's just too much hugging and too much shoulder massaging and too much like everyone, like I would hear it in rooms, like everyone doing like, ha, ha. And I look back and I'm like, was I picking up on weird culty vibes? So I Googled it, and there's some like cult awareness message board, and there was an entry about it, but I'm still unclear whether it was truly a cult or not.
yeah. All right.
But there was something that made me uncomfortable.
I look at Childish as a cult.
But like a good one, a good kind one.
Oh, yeah. Cult gets a bad name.
Just because we don't let you leave
Right.
doesn't mean we're up to no good.
And taking your children, we're good at raising children. So why would you fight that?
Let us raise your children.
All right, this one comes from Ashley. Love the show. I thought it was so funny when Allison asked Greg why anyone would want to shower outside. I live in what is probably the Northern California equivalent to Venice, on the Monterey Peninsula, next to Pebble Beach. There is much more relaxed, carefree beach town called Pacific Grove. Oh yeah, Pacific Grove. Wasn't a TV show set there? I think so.
Probably.
I have an outdoor shower too, and I'm surprised how many people think it's weird. Even when I had it installed, the plumbers were asking why I would possibly want one. A plumber told me not to bother because I'll never use it. Allison, like you, I have 2 little boys. I can't tell you how nice it is to give them a shower before entering the house. Look, I'm telling you, especially if you're going to the beach, come back from the beach, covered in sand and salt, jump in that fucking shower with the sunshine. Anyway, she goes on. We have a wand on our shower too for the little one who does not like showering yet. It's also nice for just washing off our legs after mountain biking. Oh, what a life this Ashley's living.
Seriously.
Huh? Yeah. Love your show. Hope you go back to doing it weekly. Jesus Christ. I'd
Get
also
off my jock.
I would totally support you through Patreon. Now you're talking. Anyway, Ashley, what can we do? What can we do to convince Allison Rosen to get an outdoor shower?
I'm convinced.
Are you in?
I mean, I'm in. I don't think I'm actually going to go about doing it because it sounds, hard.
So easy.
Why should that be an impediment?
Right.
Just because it's hard. I'll do it. I'll get an outdoor shower this winter. Perfect. Yeah, it sounds nice. I apologize for my initial questioning of it. I see how wonderful it would be, and especially the idea of being able to warmly hose off your people before they come in the house.
All right, Allison, we got one more piece of mail. I kind of saved it for the end because it's kind of it's a chunk. It's a big bite.
Well, if it's the big bite I'm thinking of, I feel like we should wait and do that one next time.
All right, let's do that one next time.
Yeah, because we want to be able to dive in, and it's time. And we did it again. We've done it again, Greg.
I can't believe we did it again. And again, Entertainment Weekly this week talked about the fact that we've been doing it, and they don't think we can continue.
People are placing bets.
EW.
People are placing bets in Vegas.
Yeah,
there's like a whole.
You go to mybookie.com, you can bet on any of the NFL games and whether or not Childish will do it again.
Will they do it again? And the odds are not good, according to them, which is just ludicrous to me. Yeah. When all we've done is shown that we can do it, we will, again, and we can do it again, and again, and again, and again,
and again.
Why are they trying to tear us down, Greg?
You know what it does? It fuels me. It makes me even more committed to moving forward.
Same. Sometimes I wonder if the only reason I do it again and again is because they think I can't. Yeah. But I also think, honestly, it's because deep inside, there's a little girl who says, "Mommy, will you do it again?"
Aww.
And I say, "Yeah, again and again, and again." We'll keep.
You know what I'm doing again and again, Allison, is I'm going on the road doing some stand-up comedy. Actually, I'm only doing it once. I'm going to Tampa Bay Side Splitters this weekend, the 19th through the 21st of November. If you want tickets, go to fitzdog.com. Also, while there, you can link to Fitzdog Radio, my other podcast, or Sunday Papers, my other podcast. Pick yourself up. Here, ready for this? Grapefruit Simmons t-shirts on sale through Christmas.
Wow.
10% off. You don't need a code. None of that bullshit. Just do it. Just show up. Get yourself a t-shirt for Christmas. I think it's whatever 10% off $20 is, and it's a great gift.
You know what I keep doing is Allison Rosen is your new best friend.
Yeah.
My other podcast comes out on Mondays and Thursdays. The Monday episodes are on YouTube, youtube.com. Say where you are right now if you're watching this, youtube.com/Allison Rosen. I'd like to highlight some recent episodes. I had WWE superstar Alexa Bliss on. I just had Katie Morton on. She's fantastic. She is a very popular YouTuber, and she's a licensed therapist, and she was like the first therapist on YouTube, and she makes these mental health videos, and they're great. That came out this week. And then next week I have aforementioned Tim Heidecker on, so check that out. And then also I'm on Patreon, patreon.com/Allison Rosen, and Greg and I are both on Cameo. And follow Childish on Twitter and Instagram @ChildishPod. And if you like what you're hearing, please tell your friends and subscribe your friends and yourself, and leave us a nice comment, 5 stars. It's our favorite number.
Beautiful. Allison, lovely to see you. And as you know, my name is Greg Fitzsimmons.
And my name is Allison Rosen.
And we are Childish.
All right. I have turned off my recording.
We still on with our YouTube people?
Yeah, let's go in there real fast. But I have another show to do. So I'm going to be the fly in the ointment who says we can't be in there very long. And then, Greg, you and I have to write the intro. I mean, the description thing.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll do it with the people.
Oh, we could. That'd be hard. Some people are saying they would let me raise their children. Thank you.
Really?
Yeah, because we were talking about a cult where we're going to raise their children.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're live. Hold on, I'm clicking on it right now, and I'm going up to the little comments thing.
Allison, do your 2 children have expressive eyebrows like their mom? Not yet. My eyebrows are out of control in terms of the way they jump up and down and stuff without me controlling it. And no, I haven't seen them do that yet, but I think that they will in time.
Looking at comments. Oh, there they are. Top chat.
Oh, you want to do live chat?
Where's that?
Yeah,
Click
where
on
it
it?
says, yeah,
Live
yes,
chat. Okay,
yeah.
there we go. Bert Kreischer has an outdoor shower. Ask him if you can try it out. Well, why not? I use Tom Segura's bidet.
I did too, yeah.
It's nice, right?
Yes, it is. Have you been to their new house?
Yeah. Oh, no,
I have.
not the one in the Pacific Palisades. No.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Although they're going to have another new house from what I hear. I think they're moving.
That's what I hear too, but I only hear it from you.
That doesn't mean much. Somebody
people.
wrote he was a total bag of shit. I wonder who he's referring to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
think
wondering
that's
if that's a reference to Bob Kennedy Jr. Please
Oh.
read the vaccine studies. Bob Kennedy Jr. had cool things to say on Theo's pod. If they're anti-vax, I don't know. Bob Kennedy Jr. has some anti-vaxxy things to say.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Any advice on how to convince a relative not to circumcise their kid? It really
No.
is a personal
it's
decision.
theirs. There's nothing you can do about that. It's, there's no right, wrong way. I mean, what's it to you? If they want to do a little, I'm against it. I think it's plastic surgery at this point. I don't think the AMA no longer recommends it. And a lot of insurance companies do not cover the procedure. They consider it plastic surgery.
I think it's unnecessary trauma to a baby.
Greg, are you at home or in the Jack Shack? It's not a Jack Shack. It's an office.
Where you sometimes pray to Jack. Who's your favorite Jack?
Kerouac.
Yeah, it's a shack where you occasionally pray to Jack Kerouac.
Yes.
Listen, you guys, we got to go. But thank you so much. You're the best.
Thanks for hanging out. Andrew, Ulysses, and all the others, Rolando, Jonathan, Shiesty McMibbles, Raphael. Thanks a lot. We love having you guys here.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Bye. Okay, hang on. Here we go. Gonna stop live stream.